high-level trade analysis and dissection, you've come to the right place. My name is Pat Mitchell, and I've been a professional day trader for the past 11 years, and I'm here to do exactly that, give you professional quality day trading education, all here for free, right on YouTube and on X. So today we are going to be discussing an absolutely monster trade. I'm going to show you exactly how I executed it, why I executed it, the whole nine. So there's also a fair size loss in this, as well as we're going to talk about sticky quotes. There's even a letter from the broker kind of explaining what has happened. So let's go over that. Let's rock and roll. Give me 1 sec. I'm going to fire up the charts. I hope you all had a great day. Okay, so now that we are into the charts, you can see that we have sold off quite a bit. Right at pre-market lows was roughly about 22% from highs, a pullback. And that is right in that neighborhood of a bear market. We have since recovered a little bit. But let's discuss today's trade. So very patient today. The premium was extremely expensive. By the time it came down, so at the open we dipped, we came down into 402.92. Please keep in mind that these levels are not placed after. These levels have trade plans that are have trade plans designed around them, and they're produced at 9 a.m. 30 minutes before the market opens. So market opens up, we're going to execute our trade plan, and first directional pick is down. So it starts selling off, coming down into the level on both Qs and SPY. So it washes straight down into the level. It comes just a hair before the level. So I executed. That's the first execution. And then I paid myself. And we're going to talk about these really wonky executions, or sorry, sells in a minute. And then it finally recovered. And then as soon as it starts coming up, just continue to pay myself all the way up. And then it went absolutely ballistic, really squeezing through a lot of shorts, covering, as well as getting squeezed because they shorted a trend level, which is right here, which is what I did as well. So on this trade, I locked in $46,368 on this one single trade. In fact, the last 4 contracts that I had was worth about $6,000, $5,000, sorry. And that was basically the reason why I was holding those last contracts. Usually I don't. It just happened to work out that way. I'm never looking for these big monumental moves. It just, like I said, it happened to work out that way. And so that actually whittled back half of the loss that I took. So let's talk about this loss. Now I'm going to pull up. The loss was substantial at $11,160, which is more on the high side. But what I do want people to remember is the price of the premium today. It never affects my trading. I'm still going to trade the same way. Now I may size down. I may whatever. Take a little bit more patience for that actual execution. I won't just enter kind of blindly or just kind of lackadaisically. I'll enter into that level and I'll be really patient with it. Now today, because of the price of the premium and how much profit I've already booked, that comes into the equation. So if I've locked in at that point $40,000 by the time I'm executing that short, do I really care if it gets knocked back 5, 10 grand, whatever it is? No. Now, was I expecting an $11,000 loss? No, but that's kind of the thing about the markets. It can happen. And what happened was I was green on the position. So I entered into this level. I added on the push, got out the majority on the retracement. So because of the price of the premium, and I was looking for a little bit more follow through, I was only holding very little at that time. But what happened was this big squeeze. So this candle opened at 494 and pushed up to 502. So that's huge. That's a 6-point candle, right? So I wasn't holding much, But I've told members, don't be holding lots, because in these types of markets, and I've seen this before, the last time this president was in the office, this is what happens. It's extremely volatile, and you do need to protect yourself. So I was holding small. I wasn't holding a lot, but because of the nature of a 6-point candle and the price of that premium melting down so dramatically on that push, that's what happened. So I ended up chewing back my profit, $11,160, like I said. But again, the one thing that I really want people to notice on this channel is when I'm in these positions, my losses are never bigger than my gains. And that's by design. When I'm in these trades and I've locked in a certain amount and I'm going to execute a secondary trade, it's always in the back of my thought that I need to think about risk. What happens if something happens, right? Like, we never know what could possibly happen once the market opens. Things can get wild. Things can get crazy, especially the nature of this market right now. So even still, my loss is 4x bigger than my gain, is 4x bigger than my loss. And that's something that I do want to point out, because people will look, especially coming from small account trading, it seems like a very large loss. It isn't, not compared to what I've already produced on the day, as well as this initial trade on SPY long produced 314%. Now, think about that, with the price of the premium starting at about $6.30, something like that, $6.30. That's 4-5x what it normally is. So to be able to produce hundreds of percent, it's this in the same regards. If you're trading a penny stock that is a $6 penny stock and it went all the way to $32, $33 in one single swoop. Now, where I exited, it was 26 and change was my best exit. So that's like I said, taking a penny stock from $6 all the way to $26 in one single day, actually within the first hour of, almost pretty much half an hour of the market open. It's a beautiful day. And the beautiful thing is, if you take a look at these levels, like I said, they're placed prior to the market open, and then we have trade plans developed. That's how bang on this shit is, guys. This isn't an accident. This isn't a fluke. This is what we do day in and day out. So even though there was a loss in the books, I don't care. I'm still happy to be locking in over $30,000 in profits in one single day with under an hour worth of work. And members absolutely crushed and dominated today too. This was a very clear-cut trade. And even more importantly than their profits, when they post their entries charts, it was just absolutely beautiful. They really were patient, waiting for their entries. I'm very proud of them. I'm very happy seeing what I'm seeing. So I want to talk about going back into this chart, because it is something to know. If you take a look at these those exits, you see how they're way off the map there. So I want to talk about sticky quotes, and I'm going to show you a message. So we got a message here. And basically what it says is they were experiencing difficulties with their options quotes. And that happens. So when the market gaps down and they have these big gap downs and it's on volatility and it's wild like that, remember, we're dealing with technology. And one thing I corrected my members on, my traders on this morning, is a lot of people, now I don't want to say that they were freaking out, they weren't freaking out, but I'm just going to use that term because that's what a lot of people do. They will freak out if something technically happens, like there's a software issue or a glitch or a bug, or you lose power or you lose internet. People freak out. And the only thing you can do in this type of situation when that happens is you need to dismiss it, because we have a job to do. And I think a lot of people don't think about, a lot of new traders don't think about that this is a job. We have to treat it as such. Like, think about any job that you may do. Maybe some of you have stressful jobs. Now, let's take an air traffic controller, for example. Let's say something is happening and a plane starts dropping out of the sky, whatever the fucking case may be. Now, will it serve anybody for that air traffic controller to freak out in that situation? No, it's going to cause more damage. It's the same thing with this. Now, in that analogy compared to this, that's a plane dropping out of a sky. That's what's happening, right? Now, this situation might not be all that big of a deal, right? But it throws people off because the P&L at that time when you were locking in on those with those sticky quotes because they were placed up high, it was to your favor. People were saying it's like, man, look at the fucking profit and, you know, and this and that. And it's like, but that's not the case. That's not what's going on. We know that that's not what's going on. We're dealing with technology. We're dealing with software. That's what fucking happens. So it doesn't serve anyone, including yourself. It doesn't serve you to be focusing on that. Dismiss it. You got to put that shit at the back of your mind and just keep marching forward. You have to fucking keep moving forward. You have to focus on what's important, which is that trade. Just manage the trade. You cannot be looking at that sort of stuff. And you know, this might be a little bit of a lesson that's at the end of this, but it's probably the most important lesson of this episode of doing this trade dissection and analysis is shit happens, guys. And when stuff happens, you really need to dismiss it. You need to manage the trade and do your fucking job. That's what we need to do. And if you can do that, if you can really do that, just like you all do in your regular 9-to-5 jobs when shit happens, this is no different. There's always such a really, I've always found it extremely fascinating through the 11 years that I've done this, how traders have a disconnection between their regular lives, their regular jobs, and day trading. All of a sudden, when somebody gets behind the monitors, they turn into fucking lunatics. They turn into gamblers. They're just greedy, money-hungry animals is what they turn into. And where do they get? Well, they get nowhere. So I'm going to be doing a trade dissection on a service owner's trade that I saw that he posted. I'm going to leave his name out. It is not about throwing shade. It is about showing you the garbage that is out there. And I know that that sounded like I just totally threw him shade, but I'm leaving his name out. I actually think he's a nice guy, but after seeing the trade that he took, I know he's full of shit. So therefore he is not a good guy. But like I said, I'm leaving the name out of it. It's not about that. But I'm going to be recording that tomorrow morning. Make sure to keep an eye open for that. It'll most likely be released this Sunday. You're going to want to see it because it's probably a lot of the stuff that some of you may be doing. Now, I know my members don't do that because my members could pick that. They picked it apart. But it's a great trade analysis that I want to do that isn't on my trade. And this is what I've said 1,000 times. I can look at anybody's trade entries and tell you whether they have it or they don't immediately. I've got an eye, like I've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this over a decade. I should be able to look at somebody's trade entries and immediately know. And don't think for a second that I'm not aware that there are some times where you just have a bad trade. But just his entries alone, there were 4 things that my members after their first month would never do. They would never do it. They know better. And they're brand new traders, struggling traders that know better. And this is someone that is claiming to be a profitable and consistent trader for almost as long as I've been trading. And there's no way. It's absolutely impossible. It's a fact that he does not make money consistently. After looking at that trade, it's impossible. You can't. So anyways, keep your eyes open for that. If you want to work with a coach that can actually help you, not only is he good at what he does, trading, but he actually has a knack for education and coaching, which is a rare quality to begin with. Not to mention, put that on top of being a legitimate, successful trader. Now you're talking the rare of the rare. So if you want to work with someone like that, come to tricktrades.com and we'll get you all fixed up and we'll get you on the road to success. And if not, continue to enjoy my free channel. All good. It's just going to take you longer, but you got to like and you have to subscribe. I think that's a pretty fair trade-off. Don't be just a taker in life, guys. Okay, guys, I'm going to rock and roll. I've got a busy evening ahead of me. Adios.